What's happening, Shredder Nation? Happy Tuesday. Welcome to episode number 64 of Shred Your Body. I'm your host, Jesse James Jamnik. And, every single week I get on here and talk about how flippin' excited I am. This week, I'm really, really excited. I'm joined by my really good friend, Mr. Coleman Clifford. What's up, sir? How are you?
Good evening, Shredheads. How are we doing tonight?
Shredheads. You'll notice that one of the best things about Coleman is his deep-rooted Boston accent. That's how you know that he is one of the best humans on the face of this planet. I wouldn't, I'm not biased or anything, but I might. Yeah, dude. So listen, Coleman, I'm so excited because I don't know if I've ever shared this with you, but if people don't know your story, I find it to be remarkable. Not because of the fact that you're a cancer survivor, which obviously is remarkable, and all the things you go through. What I admire most about you is your just willingness to look at life and say, you know what, just bring it on every day. Just bring it on every day. Your attitude is contagious. I read your post. I look at the things you do, the volunteer work that you do for charity, the nonstop giving and giving. You got 20 years on me, Coleman, and when I say that I look to you to be the person that I want to be, I'm not kidding. Like, I'm not just throwing that out there, and I wanted to tell you that.
Touches my heart.
You're just an epic human, and you've gone through so much in life where I've watched so many examples of people just falling out and giving up, and you did the opposite. You did the opposite, and what's crazy to me is as I keep diving deeper into the world of functional medicine, and I keep learning about the microbiome and the epigenetics and what we know now and what we didn't know and all the things that you exemplify. You know what I mean? It's so cool. Like, you're like this walking billboard to me of like what I'm learning. And it's just so cool to watch how much attitude impacts life. And I hope everybody can gain some nuggets from you, because I learned so much just from reading posts. So I'm really excited. Thank you for doing this with me.
Well, thank you for having me, and it's always a pleasure. It's it hasn't always been that way, right? I mean, I've always been a
For
fairly
sure.
positive person, and but you go through these, you start these things with cancer. You don't know what your future is, and you hit some pretty dark times, as I'm sure
For
some of
sure.
the folks out there tonight will understand. But you've got to develop this mindset that it's all about mindset. And
Yeah.
I've read a lot and talked to people, and 99.9% of the time you can get all the best medicine in the world, and if your head isn't in the right space, you're not going to survive. So it's all about mindset. I mention it a
Yeah.
lot.
So can we sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I
No,
don't just want to I don't want to just scoot over that. Like,
yeah,
I want to really my goal tonight is to extract as much as I can from this amazing brain of yours to hold. I want to learn. It's selfish. It's selfish, and I'm hoping that other people can
I'm
pick up
willing
on
to
it too.
share.
So mindset, let's unpack that a little bit. You talked about a lot of reading. I've read some pretty fascinating research articles. I've read some amazing case studies and looked at where the mind, cancer and stuff,
Yeah,
with the mind and the healing power of the mind. So can you just kind of dive into a little bit of that? You don't have to go crazy. And then what did you take from that? How did you apply it? And what did you notice happen to the difference in your life or your healing, or kind of wherever you want to go with that?
sure. And there's probably kind of three stages, answers to that question, right? So again, I've always been fairly positive, always been an entrepreneur. And then, working for yourself, you necessarily can't always talk to your friends and family, right? So
Right.
you seek out. I remember my first seminar was Tommy Hopkins, the sales trainer of champions, right? And the whole Tony Robbins thing,
Yeah.
and you just learn to develop that mindset, and you get into these thought patterns, and then you get bowled over. You get diagnosed with a rare disease or a cancer or something along that line, and it kicks your ass. It kicks your ass
Yeah.
mentally. But you read about it, and you harken back to some of the things you learn, and you remember, hearing stories about, as horrific as the Holocaust was, right? There were people that came out of the Holocaust that were survivors. They survived because they had a mindset.
Yeah.
They had the mindset to keep themselves alive and stay alive, to be an example
Yeah.
for those that followed. And you read about people that have just totally beyond all odds, that there's no way in God's green earth they're going to make it. And they've got that mindset. They develop that mindset that no matter what, it's coming at you, and you
Yeah.
can. So you can do one or two things, right? You can, we have that fight or flight mentality, right, or that flight
Mm-hmm.
or fight instinct, and that's your
Mm-hmm.
mindset. And oftentimes people haven't developed a strong mindset, so their intuition is to fear, right, to flight.
Mm-hmm.
It takes them a while to learn how to fight
Right.
and to really take that on. And and honestly, as good as I think my mindset was, there's one thing in the last year that's blown me away, and every month it resonates more with me, and it's what Sean says. Sean says that when you shred, you come alive. And I have, at least my understanding now of coming alive, it's this incredible mindset, but not a mental mindset, right? It's not
Yeah.
something we do mental gymnastics for. We don't do our cannotations. We don't, do our power moves. All that stuff's great, right?
For
It
sure.
works, but it's short term. But what happens when you shred and you continue to shred is you just start waking up in this incredible mindset. You wake up. It comes from your gut. It comes through your
Mm.
heart. It comes through your soul, and you just have this feeling like there is nothing in the world that I can't overcome if I work towards it and take the proper steps.
That's okay. So that's remarkable. So if I heard you right, you're saying the power of mindset is clearly been proven for. I mean, you can search back as far as I've looked, which has been pretty far. You can
Right.
find stories and
The beginning of
examples,
time.
and I mean, yes, right, of mindset and the
Yeah.
power of mindset. You can talk about visualization. You can talk about reaching those things. But for your mindset was there. But you're saying that even over the last year, and the only thing that you've done is really taken this concept of food is medicine, right?
Right.
Food is medicine, and applied that to your life. And
Right.
you're telling me that mindset has even been more
It's
leveled for
changed.
you?
It's
It's changed.
changed. It's not a
I
mental
find,
activity anymore.
yeah,
It becomes
that's
it comes out of you. You ooze it throughout your whole body, right?
mm.
I mean, let's
So what would you say, like what's an example of that? Like what would be like something that would be clear to you that's different today than, because by the way, happy 1 year anniversary. You're celebrating
thanks,
your
brother.
1 year
Thank you.
shreddiversary. February 15th was your
Yep.
first one, which is awesome. So what would you say has been like a noticeable clear difference for you?
I can kind of give you a chronology because of what's been going on with me with my health, right?
Okay.
So, you shred, you shred month after month. You get into this great mindset, and yeah, I mean, you know it, but you don't really know it, right? You sense you're better. And then I hit a road bump in November, December. I couldn't do for a while. I couldn't even do my shakes because
Mm.
I'm going through all this testing, right? So they have to find like the shred. They have to find my baseline again. They have to do these, nuclear medicine scans. So I've
Mm.
really got to listen to the doctors and say, okay, I'm just going to behave myself and not do anything. But you get your old habits come in, right? You're human. You have a little snack here. You have a drink there. You have a bag of potato chips here and there, right? And I noticed one day that all of a sudden I was starting to feel like depressed. I
Mm.
was starting to have thoughts that I hadn't munched, like, well, what if this doesn't work out so well, or what if that doesn't work out so well? Um,
Mm.
we all know like the aches and pains, right? We all know your knees feel better, your elbows feel better, but your whole perception, your whole mindset is different because you're letting that. I always call it. You got the good mindset angel on this side and the bad mindset angel on this side. Well, after a few months of shredding, this guy falls off your shoulder. You just every day you're hearing the good mindset angel, and all of
Yeah.
a sudden this guy starts, speaking up again. He starts putting thoughts in your head that you hadn't thought of for months.
Yeah.
And so as I'm going through all my testing, I still wasn't able to do a full cleanse. I still haven't done a full cleanse since before Thanksgiving. But I immediately, as soon as I could, I started going back to maintenance mode. Started having shake for breakfast. Grass-fed beef, my uncured bacon. And within a week or two, I felt like, wow, I'm feeling back to the way I felt a few months ago. And I'm very careful.
And how long was that? What's the period of time?
That was probably from about prior to Thanksgiving till after Christmas. Right?
Okay.
Right around January 1st, I just really started saying, I just can't keep doing this. I got to get back in that mode, I mean,
and how fast did it shift for you?
Oh, within a week. Within a week.
Okay.
Even after first couple of days of getting back on 2 shakes a day and a meat meal in the middle of the day, I could feel a difference. By the end of the week, my energy was back. And I'm going for my second treatment on Thursday. So I hadn't done any treatment. I didn't do a full cleanse for a while. And then I didn't want to start on the January one. I just went through the January shred on maintenance mode.
Yep.
And then after about 2 weeks, I started adding in 2 ounces of cleanse in the morning on an empty stomach.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm doing again. And now I'll go through this next treatment. And then within 2 weeks, I'm going to do a full shred, like a full cleansing of, the whole 11 day. But my point being is that you notice the difference when you come off it, that you don't have it anymore. Mm-hmm. And you notice your body wanting to be back on it. And it makes all the difference in the world to your mindset. Within the last 2 weeks, I'm back to where I was. I feel like I'm back to business.
Dude, listen, this is mind blowing. I need people to understand. Like, okay, I gotta let me think for a second here. Okay, very important. As you guys can see, there's disclaimers up on the board. The ER, I just need to say this to obviously make sure that, the ERShred does not treat, cure, prevent any type of disease whatsoever. It cannot heal you from magical things. This does not take the place of medical advice. If you're in need, please seek out a medical professional. You have to, be watched and do things and test blood and all that kind of stuff. What I'm trying to pull out is to show you guys, Coleman, back in 2007, you got diagnosed with an incurable cancer, correct?
Correct. Neuroendocrine cancer.
Neuroendocrine cancer. Can you put that in like human terms? What is that?
Absolutely. And this kind of plays into one of the things I wanted to talk to you about as well. So let's do a little description of NET, right? We all know what cancer is. We all know the different types of cancer. The thing that makes NET, neuroendocrine cancer, different is that you can get tumors anywhere within your neuroendocrine system, right? Your lungs, anywhere in your gut. And so, as an example, we don't have lung cancer. We have neuroendocrine carcinoid cancers of the lung. That's what I had. Mm-hmm. I had 2 lobes of my right lung removed because I had tumors there. We have PNET, so that's not pancreatic cancer. That's neuroendocrine cancer of the pancreas. That's what Stephen Jobs died of. Dave Thomas from Wendy's died. Aretha Franklin died of neuroendocrine cancer. But it's very few people know about it. And here is one of my analogies that I've it's kind of hit me lately.
Yeah.
So the thing about NETs, I'll give you a little bit more history on that. So a NET tumor, the difference with that and other types of tumors is that a NET tumor will give off anywhere from hundreds of different types of hormones or peptides. Okay. So that tumor is excreting things into your body. So the number one marker is serotonin. So as we know, serotonin speeds the digestive system, correct? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so we find a lot of our NET patients spend their life in the bathroom. They can't, they just constantly go into the bathroom. But what we also found is a number of people that have misdiagnosed with IBS or irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease, and they later find out they have a NET in there somewhere in their stomach. So one of my big symptoms, serotonin has never been one of my markers, but one of my symptoms is I get a lot of flushing. That's why I'm back. My flushing's back. So I'm back doing scans. I'm back. They're trying me out again on this octreotide injection to see if it helps. Most of the women that have have gone or are going through menopause will know what flushing's all about. So there are days I feel like a middle-aged woman. I'm just turning red and I'm flushing. But here's the funny thing that really hit me in the last week. I was thinking about this.
Yeah.
So what do we do in ERShred? We break it down to our baseline, right?
Yeah.
We want to get down to the point where we're at a baseline where as we add new foods, we can see if something is a culprit.
Yep.
Well, for me, those tumors, that serotonin is a culprit. That adrenaline is a culprit. That prostaglandin is a culprit. And if you have those going through your system, it's making you sick and you don't know it, right? So think about this. That fettuccine Alfredo that you've been eating for 12 years. You might have been feeling like crap for the last 10 or 12 years. You didn't know it was something in the Alfredo Alcini, right?
Yeah.
You don't know what that farmer is putting in that grain that they're feeding the cattle out in the Midwest that you're eating your beef from, right? Those could be similar to what we deal with NETs, with neuroendocrine cancer. Those things are releasing culprits into your body. They're making you sick over time and you don't even know it. And until you get to baseline and start adding things in, you don't realize the shit that was making you feel like crap all these years.
I love that analogy. That's a great analogy. So you get diagnosed. You have 3 lung surgeries, right?
Right.
3 lung surgeries. At that time, back in 2007, 2008, 2009, that era, obviously it's this shock. It's this holy crap. I got, cancer. You're going through all these things, emotions. Was nutrition a big piece of your puzzle? Was it a piece of your solution at that time of just overall daily quality, or did you know as much as you do today about it, or when is your drive for quality nutrition come into play? Like when did you have that realization that it could really make a huge impact on everything, like the way that you react to treatments, the way that you can operate daily life and how you function and all that?
So for the longest time, they were like 2 separate bubbles, right?
Okay.
So, I mean, I've always been a fairly healthy guy as far as eating. I mean, I always like to eat well. I was back in the day, I got the old J-Man juicer and I was juicing my veggies and fruits. And, actually I was juicing my veggies because Jay said never juice your fruits.
That's right.
But I'd always eat well. I mean, I skated a lot. I coached hockey. I coached baseball. I had, 3 kids that were all active.
Yeah.
So I worked for myself. So I was going 18, 20 hours a day some days. So, for the most part, I ate pretty well, but not with a mindset of being healthy, just because it was a good thing to eat well, to stay in shape, right?
Yeah.
And even after all of this, so the biggest thing when I was diagnosed was there was nothing. There was no knowledge. This was one of the rarest cancers in the world. My surgeon, who was considered to be one of the top 5 lung surgeons in the world, sent me to a doctor at Dana-Farber. And he said, well, we don't deal with lungs. We only deal with people with gastro problems. And this guy had enough clout, said, no. You're taking care of my patients. Right. And luckily for me, he turned out to be, he's one of the top leading neuroendocrine specialists in the world. So I feel blessed that I got in this envelope with all these good people. Yeah. But over that course of time, I mean, I'd get on health kicks. I'd try to work out. I'd be feeling good. I'd be on my bike, racing, trying to ride for the Pan Mass Challenge. And, then I'm in the hospital. I'm spending a week because I got a blockage. I'm flushing. I can't work. I just feel like exhausted. I'd go months on end without being able to accomplish anything. And I would go back and forth. And I was up in an isogenics user since 2006. But again, I'd go back and forth. I'd be on it for a while. I'd be off it for a while. And my good buddy, my almost lifelong friend, my coach, Coach Mike Howard, has been an isogenic since the beginning.
Yep.
And he said, there's these 2 crazy guys, Sean and Jesse, got this thing called ERShred. You got to check it out. I watched the video. I jumped on it. So really the birth of my crazy super wellness started last February.
That's awesome.
I mean, I do. You
That's
see, I
awesome.
do these stair climbs and everything else. So
Yeah.
I've been doing that for years, right? So I've
Yeah. I
always
mean,
done
you
physical stuff. But
average
the
you
nutrition
average
started this time last year.
it's great. You average 30 to 40,000 steps a day
I
with
probably average. Yeah, I probably average between 15 and 20.
or
But
15 and 20. But you have a lot
between
of days that I always see
oh
30,
yeah,
40.
since last Saturday, I've done almost 100,000 steps since last Saturday. Since in
Since
the
last
blizzard,
Saturday
in the
in the
2 feet
blizzard.
of freaking snow.
Yeah. I just, it's just for me, Coleman. I mean, I love the analogies and stuff. Like my mind can't stop thinking, again, from I shared with you the hours of learning and research from some of the top scientists and functional medicine doctors. And
Yeah,
I'm just like, I am so engulfed in this right now. And then for me, one of the most exciting pieces is, everybody's got their thing. Like the microbiome specialist is going to teach you all about the microbiome, and
right.
the mitochondria specialist is going to teach you about the mitochondria. But I'm like, okay, there's still an underlying thing that they're all coming back to, and it's the way of eating, it's how your body functions, it's the way that food talks to your body, and how without minerals they don't activate, vitamins are useless, and I'm just, it's so cool because for you it's you keep talking about these amazing things of health, and it's just another example of how food is medicine. I mean, you're giving these examples of when nutrition wasn't on, and you could drastically feel that both physically, both mentally. Even up until last year, you were quote unquote doing the healthy. But what I've come to learn is that what I learned when I first learned, that's a mouthful, right? Nutrition is like obsolete, and that's what it's in order to really really grasp nutrition and science and research. You got to be an open-minded person, because there's doctors that will blatantly tell you, like, look, like when I did this, like this is all we knew, this is what we thought, what
Right.
we've now learned, and this is now a breakthrough and whatever. But still, I just want to really get the point across to people how powerful of a tool food is. Like food, your choices, and I mean, look at you thriving because of what's going on with the food that serves your body. It's just so cool.
To your point, okay. And again, this is all like it's this as over the last few months again as I'm going back down this path.
Yeah.
So to your point, and again, I agree with you 100%. I say that a lot when I'm talking about this. There is nothing, absolutely nothing in the ERShred. There is nothing in isogenics. There's no super duper product shake,
Yeah.
anything that's going to cure my cancer.
For 100%.
My body is a machine. It is the best fueled, best healing machine in the world. And what most people don't realize is that along with anything medical, you have to find a way to fuel yourself with good nutrition. So I think back to two things. I think back to, as we just were talking about, how I was feeling so good, like aside from the fact that my symptoms were coming back, over the summer, late fall, they were getting worse. I'm going into Thanksgiving. But when I had to come off the shakes and the nutrition and the grass-fed beef, the organic chicken, the chicken thighs with butter, lots of butter in my coffee, it was like I could feel my body changing. And it made
Yeah.
me remember, like, what if I had the shred 4 years ago, 6 years ago, 8 years ago? How many of those like roller coaster years that I had with my health that were basically unproductive? How could my life be different?
Yeah.
Because I can take this encapsulate this last 12 months, and if I projected that back, my life would have been completely different.
Sure.
So I project that forward, and my life is going to be completely different for the next 30
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
Because I know what the energy and the clarity and the mindset that this gives me to just keep moving forward.
Yeah. That's so cool. It makes me so happy to hear, because when I'm continuing to make sure that the T's are really crossed and the I's are really dotted from a full spectrum nutritional standpoint, from a mineral standpoint, from a trace mineral standpoint, from the bioavailability, it's all checking out, and it's making me even more sold, to be honest with you. More sold, if you can believe it, than I've been over the last year and a half. Like, if that's even possible. Maybe it's just the way I personally feel and how things just keep getting crazier the more I tap into.
Yeah, but it's not just now. It's not just what you're reading. It's not just what you believe. You have empirical evidence. You have 24,000 people, soon to be 48,000 people, soon to be 148,000 people that are prime examples of this works. It ain't some, crazy, goofy thing. It's just bringing food back to where it's supposed to be, putting it in your body in a proper way, and in either eliminating or really cutting back on all the crap that you shouldn't be putting in your body.
Yeah. No, I think what I meant is, like, from what I am learning to what we're sharing and trying to help people with in the realm of what's going to be best for them. Obviously, with, here's the tracks, but the highway's got 4 lanes. You know what I mean? Like, which lane are you going to run with? Because they're all going the same direction, and that's really the ultimate goal. What I'm saying is, the deeper I dive to know, I'm just so excited to know that we have those cross more, and to see examples or hear examples of somebody like your story. And what makes yours even more fascinating is, our fulfillment company, there is opportunity that comes with that, of building teams and helping other people and getting rewards for that. And you have zero interest in that. Like, you don't do that because you build your other business on top of working at the yacht club and running the yacht club, which for me, your testimonial is just, people will say, oh, you're just saying that because whatever, this is a walking example. So without a shadow of a doubt, I think that you're agreeing that using food as medicine and assisting life can drastically alter mindset, clearer mindset, more function in the body, more energy, even at, the age that people would say, oh, you're supposed to, most people are complaining, Coleman. They're like, oh, I'm 60. How are you, 61 or 62?
62.
Okay. So most people at 62 are complaining, and it's just because I'm 62, right? I'm supposed to, whatever. I can't do this. This is all the excuses, right? And we're learning it's really not that crazy and complicated.
Jesse, every day I run into people my age and I talk to, and then I got to run home and I got to look in the mirror and I'm like, shit, I don't look like that, do I? I ask my kids, I don't act like that, do I? I don't want to be like that.
I thought you were going to say you walked home, you looked in the mirror, and you said, damn, I look 60.
Hey, well, I'm trying to keep up with Sean Escobar here. I got the Conda, what's his name? The Cornelius guy from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. So cool.
But seriously, it's when you look at. I have friends. I have people that I see at the club, right? And it's kind of cool when you look at people and you see them that they're. I used to think, oh man, what am I going to do when I'm 62? I'll be this old fart, right? And I see people now, I look at people that are in their 70s and 80s, and some people in their early 90s living these super productive lives. But yet I see people around me that are in their early or mid 50s that look like death warmed over.
Yeah.
And you try to talk to them. And if I may just jump back to a minute ago, what you were talking about the business side of this, right? So, and you're right. I've got another passion that I'm working on the side. Yeah. And with the fulfillment company back in the day, I was very active with that. And I always said, I'd have clients that would get that 30-day and they'd go like crazy. And, 3 or 4 months down the road they'd be fine. They'd be okay. Yeah. They'd be all right. And 6 months later, they'd be calling back. Oh, I got to get on another one of those 30 days, and and I always had the impression that I couldn't compete with a Beachbody beautiful blonde, right? I love Jimmy Smith, right? Jimmy Smith is a rock star. I love Jimmy's story. But for the most part, most of the people that look like they were successful were not my gender and a lot younger than me and a lot better looking, right?
Yeah.
But here's the difference. So this whole protocol is not something that you're going to do for 30 days, right? It's not
Sure.
something you're going to take a 6-month hiatus from. You might go on vacation and goof off a little bit, but you're going to get back to it. And it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what age you are, because I am now having people that are interested in this, that I'm actually referring to my buddy Michael,
Yeah.
that I'm not pushing it. I'm not promoting it. I'm attracting it.
Yeah.
What are you doing? How are you running around? I mean, I'm at the club. How are you running around 8, 10, 12 hours out of the day doing what you're doing? How are you
Yeah.
lifting? We have these things called ice eaters, right? We have them in the water. There's 100 in the water. They weigh 50 pounds each. So yesterday I had to pull 15 out of them just because of the storm. We had to check them and maintain them. That's 1,500 pounds. 1,500 pounds of lifting throughout the day, along with 15,000 steps. I'm 62 years old. 62 years old. I mean, that's pretty freaking good.
This was yesterday.
Yesterday.
Here's what's even more impressive to me is that today at 8:30, you still have this much energy because your body not only was able to produce, you were actually able to recover.
I had a great night. I had a great night's sleep last night. I was up at 5 o'clock this morning, Jesse, and I have not stopped since.
Isn't it crazy? Do you notice things like deeper sleep or the way that you wake up, or what are some other? I know your cholesterol. You know, you started at 208. You got down to 166 and you were like, F it, like I'm done weighing myself. Like, what's the point? Like, I feel awesome, which is where I hope and pray that everybody can get to, because that's real health. That's really where it's at.
Right.
Your cholesterol went down, your blood pressure went down. I mean, how's all of that? Is it still staying? I mean, what's going on?
I got 14 days to go, and I still have not had a freaking ibuprofen or an aspirin since before last February 15th.
Dude.
And I did notice, so like I noticed a little increase having been off the products for a while with everything going on. My blood pressure went up a little bit. I noticed that, I put on a few pounds in the gut. I felt like I was losing some of my muscle tone and some of my striations. After this weekend, I feel like Arnold Schwarzenegger again. It's amazing. You wake up, and I don't know how many of you people are Hulk fans, right? But there are days that you just, and I call them Shredgasms, right? So you have these Shredgasms. You go along and you're just walking along and you're just your regular old Bill Bixby. And the next thing you know, you're Lou Ferrigno and the Hulk's coming out and you're doing something that you don't even think about. You just go do it. And it's like, dude, how'd I do that?
It's pretty crazy. I mean, it's remarkable. I mean, and I find that the more you play with it, the more you tweak it, the more you just, you're going on 1 year now. I want to stress that to people. Like it's a never ending journey. Like you're going to constantly do you find that like you found new things? Did you find new things each shred? Did you find different things, whether good or bad or whatever? Like, have you found it to be a constant evolving, like what keeps people, Coleman? Like, why do people stick around? Why does somebody like you, after a year, why are you still here when, like you said, people are going to usually do something, they quit, it's like a never ending cycle. You know what I mean? It's kind of worthless. Like it aggravates me when I watch people do it now, because it's just like, it's frustrating.
Yeah. Right. It's like, it's like these people that are, they're watching James Corden go down the middle of the supermarket in the carriage saying, yeah, it's WW. You can eat whatever you want. Well, it don't work like that, right? It don't work like that. And I would say the biggest things that I've found is that, that thing about the culprit, and as I relate it back to what I go through, and this hit me like a ton of bricks, like, wow, it's like when this serotonin or whatever it is in my body is going off, I flush, right? So now when I go and I eat something, I never would have known before it was a culprit, right? And and I will admit, there's been times where people have actually tied me down, duct taped my mouth open, and forced some chocolate cake in there, and I realize it's a culprit, right? Because now you feel different. Now you're like, what the heck did I eat that for, right?
For sure.
So that's one thing. But honestly, the biggest thing that I keep going back to month after month, and I go back to that coming alive. And the more you shred, you realize that coming alive is mindset. But it's a physical mindset. It's not a mental mindset. It's a mindset that evokes your whole body. It just envelopes you, and you just start living it. You just start doing it. You don't think about the other stuff. The negative stuff doesn't go into your mind, or if it does, it doesn't last very long because your mind's already working on ways to go overcome it. That to me is probably the biggest thing. The more I shred, the more I realize that I have more conviction, more congruency, and my mindset is getting stronger and stronger every month.
Yeah. Coleman, it's there's endless documented research that actually proves the entire concept that you just spoke about. You know what I mean? It really has to do with the amount of sugars that you're putting in. I don't think people understand how powerful of a drug that is, and literally how it's hijacking the entire body. The gut directly talks to the brain. They're now finding out that the bacteria in your gut are literally send text messages to your cells. And if you are jacking that up, then you're jacking this up. And you're right. It's like the longer you go, people say, well, how long can we go? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like, what are we doing?
Lifestyle.
What are we doing? I'm teaching you how to eat the most nutrient dense foods on the face of the planet. If you want the science, that it's out there, like it's proven. You know what I mean? I'm showing you how to eat foods that serve you, how to stop poisoning yourself every day with this ridiculous ultra processed, processed food industry. And there's a difference between processed and ultra processed, right? And then there's high sugar and it's flour. I mean, the amount of pounds a day of flour and sugar that we're eating as a human being on average is like, I mean, that should be enough right there to like put a skull and crossbones on something, because that shit's just toxic. And people don't understand how it affects everything inside the body, and I mean, for somebody even like yourself, if we talk about how do we combine, something that you're going through with food as medicine, food as medicine is that underlying thing. You're right. Your body, you are the machine. Every person listening to this is the machine. Your body's the machine, but just like any well-built badass machine, if it's not taken care of, if it's not fueled properly over time, it's gonna break. It's gonna break, right? It's gonna break. So it's just so cool to see all that balance and how it comes in.
Well, if you take that concept that you were just talking about, right, and break it down to the silly ridiculousness, right, and look at it this way, that all your body is made up of cells, right? You from the top follicle in your hair to the tip of your toes, it's just cells, right?
100 trillion on average.
Right, but you only have one or two things. You either have good cells or you have bad cells. If you have bad cells, those are cells that can become cancerous or ridden with some other type of disease. Yeah. And your body's already adapted to get rid of those cells if it's fed the right nutrition.
Yeah.
And I know you get frustrated with a lot of this stuff, right? That people's mindset, right? Well, some of it is they just don't know any better, right?
Right.
So they've been brought up with this Jenny Craigie and WW, and it's all that. Try this for a few months and then go back to do what you're doing, and then come back to this. It's just keep them in the wheel. And even over the years, I found with our own fulfillment company, there's a lot of people that like that they're getting a product that's got good nutrition, but they don't really understand the good nutrition part of it. So they put it in their body for a while, and then, it's off to Margaritaville for a few months, and then they put it back in their body for a while. But they're still in that cycle of, if I drop 20 pounds, I can go back to living my other way of life. If I drop 30 pounds, what they're missing is it's not about dropping the 30 pounds. It's about eating the nutrition that you're supposed to eat in the first place, along with the proper added the shakes and the nutritionals along with it that enhances it, that changes your whole lifestyle, that gives you that mindset, that makes it all work the way it's supposed to work. And I think as we go through time with this thing, you're going to see more and more people, as they shred more and more, understand that they're going to know intuitively. Just they got to get back to their shred. They got to do 2 days of cleanse. It'll just become part of their way of life.
Yeah, I love that you said that, because it's really, with functional medicine and such, it's really getting back to the primal ways. It's getting back to the ancestral ways. It's really becoming in tune with your inner self. It's like, I don't even think people realize, have you ever sat with the inside of your mind? Like really, truly sat with it blank. Because it's a pretty cool feeling when you can learn how to do that. You know what I mean? And boy, does it take a long time, but it's so cool. But the more you do this, the more I find this too. Getting back to those ways, Coleman, is definitely something that, it has such a drastic impact on every other aspect of life too, with healing and mindset and everything else. I mean, it can really relate to everything that we're talking about tonight. The longer people keep doing it, the more they realize that, being healthy shouldn't be a market, really. Like I'm like, this is $1 billion. Like there's so much shit, because people realize like it's so important. I think people get it, but then they're just so confused, and gosh, no wonder why. I mean, gosh, there's RDAs right now in clinical nutrition books that are false because somebody made a mistake on a decimal point. I mean, it's just asinine shit. You know what I mean? That's out there, and it confuses people. But I think intuitively, you're right. Once people can feel just how amazing they're supposed to feel on a daily basis as a human being, they're going to know. Like animals know. Animals intuitively know. Like why do they eat salt at certain times? Why do animals take a break at certain times? Why do they know when they're sick they lay down? They don't need a freaking doctor or a hospital to tell them. Like we're human beings, for crying out loud. Like why do we not know this stuff already? It's crazy.
It is, and it's and it is amazing, and some of it's just the culture we've all been brought up and we lived in, and I've found, Jesse, too, even just like dealing with the doctors I deal with, and trust me, I have dealt with some of the most brilliant minds on the East Coast for the last 10 years, but a lot of them are ignorant to what I'm going through. Yeah. And even the ones that, and I always like to, preface the medical thing with, doctors are trained on pathology. They're not trained on nutrition. Even my primary care doctor, I love her to death. Love her to death. She was amazed at my results. And I saw her the other day for my annual, and she's like, well, I hope you're going easy on the salt. And I'm like, well, I'm only using pink Himalayan salt. Well, that's all marketing, salt. And I'm like, Doc, it's not. There's a difference between the crap you're buying at the supermarket and pink Himalayan salt. There's a difference between grass-fed beef and thank God I'm learning all this because of the ERShred, But it's just to jump back to my treatment. Yeah. So when I was on this treatment before for quite a few years, a while back. And I think that was part of why I was feeling so crappy for so long. But one of the things that it did to me was I was borderline diabetic the whole time. So I am dying now to see the results of this going forward over the next few months, how my blood sugar level does on this protocol. And I'm thinking tremendous results. So I will keep you posted on that.
Please do.
Absolutely.
I mean, from everything that I've heard and, things that are kind of similar to the ERShred done with functional medicine practitioners and such, I have a feeling that those markers are going to be very favorable for you.
I think so.
Very, very favorable. Susan is screaming. She wants to know. Of course she wants to know.
Absolutely.
Her blood panels. I mean, it's just nuts. It's just nuts, And again, it's not the ERShred that makes these markers or heals. Like the ERShred is your tracks to run on, right, Coleman?
Right,
like
exactly.
It's like all we're doing is we're just aggressively removing the poison. But in order to do that, we understand that you can't just do that because 99% of people would fail. Okay, they would fail and fall flat in their face. Like, think about people that just like, oh, I'm just going to try intermittent fasting all of a sudden, and they just like, boom, tank, right? Or oh, I'm just going to go in this hardcore keto, and boom, they tank. Like, this is a way where, yeah, you're removing, but you are filling the void with so much. Susan and I were just geeking out at like almost 10 o'clock last night with each other about minerals and the amount of minerals that we're putting in through grass-fed beef, the amount of B12 that you're getting through that, which you cannot get at that absorbability level. And I don't care if you sat in a garden like a rabbit all day long, you cannot get that through a pill, through anything that you can with this. So the amount of minerals, the vitamins, the nutrients that we're getting is just so cool. And when you do that, you have this profound effect. You take it out, you put it back in, you balance the body, and I think that's a lot of what we've kind of been talking about too, is if you look, it's all these crazy things we're sharing, but it really just comes back to the same basic fundamentals, right? Like treat your body with respect.
If I may throw this in too, okay? And I say this from the heart to anybody out there that's going through a cancer situation, going through a chronic illness of any sort, right? So, we look at hospitals like Dana-Farber. Thank God for Dana-Farber and St. Jude's and places like that. Best places in the world, right? They come up with some incredible treatments. But how many times do we hear that these treatments don't work for people? And I don't know anybody in the medical community, very, very little anyways, not a whole lot, that's saying, what are you doing with your nutrition while you're on chemotherapy? What are you doing with your nutrition while you're on radiation treatments? Or we're giving you these specially designed systems that are developed for your particular DNA. How are you feeding your body through that? And I'm not saying it's an end-all be-all, but it sure as hell ain't going to hurt if you're putting damn good nutrition in your body while you're going through that shit.
Dude, we can't get into all of this now. One, I have to make sure that I have my citations ready to make sure that we can cover ourselves, whatever. However, I've just listened to some of this with some of the world's best cancer doctors and researchers and also functional medicine doctors. And they were literally just talking about this. Literally, they're like, look, yes, you cannot just skip the normal treatment. Like if it's at that point, you got to do the right thing.
Right.
However, what they're learning about, like, for instance, cancer, right? Cancer cells, their only job is to aggressively grow, right? And we know that with chemotherapy, you shock the body, but not only are you going after the cancer cells, but you're killing everything else. Now they got research between fasting before chemo and how if you're giving the body the relaxed state, your effects from the actual treatment will be less because the chemo can do its thing when your body is rested. I mean, this just goes so deep and so crazy. It's nuts that you brought that up because I'm going to share that one with you because I think it will serve you very well. But I'll share that and I'll let those really brainiac scientist guys share the actual knowledge with you. But I think it will light you up. It'd be pretty cool. So, okay, cool.
One other quick note, because we're talking about the body and how the body has the ability to heal, right?
Yes.
So I had 3 lung surgeries. I lost a good portion of my right lung. I coach people all the time in my world. About we call them lungoids, people that have had lung surgery, had wedge resections or lost a whole lung, right? So, again, 62, I have a rare cancer, or an incurable cancer. I will challenge anybody on this call tonight to climb stairs with me, and I will kick your ass. So my lungs have improved so much that I could go put a stairway in front of me and I'll break records. So that just goes to show you what your body can do, what your body has the ability to rejuvenate itself from. It's made to get better. You just got to feed it good shit.
Yes. I mean, yes, like I want to scream that statement from the rooftops to anybody who's open enough to hear it. And I wish I could go run up to people and shake them until they could hear it too. But also what I also just heard was, I have family up north in New England still, and I travel there monthly. I think I just heard a challenge. Like, I think I just heard a challenge to you and I running up a big building.
Jesse, this year I do the Boston Stair Climb every year for the American
I know
Lung
you do.
Association, right?
You're nuts.
So last year they moved it outside, so because of COVID, so we had it at Fenway Park. We did every stair in the bowl at Fenway Park. It's on again in April. I'll send you the date. You come up, and we'll do Fenway together.
What's the date? What's the date?
I don't. I'll text it to you. I think it's.
I hope it fall. Yeah, I hope it falls in. I have the dates with my daughter lined up, but I hope it falls into that because
I'll text it to you, and that would be cool.
That would be so. I remember running a couple Spartan races at Fenway, the Spartan sprints, which they had there when they started doing those, and that was so fun. But such an iconic ballpark, such an amazing cause. Like, I really hope I can make it work. So what else can we share with people, Coleman? Because, people are going in, we just started a brand new shred. I thank you for tonight. Like, your story's out there. Yes, you lost, 208 to 166, but I really was hoping to share with people mindset, tidbits, things that we've learned along the way. 2007 to 2022, you got this incurable shit. And it seems to me like you're kicking it in the ass. So, I mean, that's just so amazing, so exciting. Like, you get to keep being every day for you, your family, living life. And it's just, you're thriving. And then over this last year, you really just took it up another notch and to show that raw, just really how powerful the right food choices are, they're combined with the right mindset, how one can actually affect the other, how when done together, it's even more powerful. There's so many things, so many dots that I hope people can connect from all the stuff that you kind of, tapped out there. People are just starting. Some are brand new. Some are doing this again for the 4th, 5th, 6th time. Some are doing it for the 16th time.
Right.
What's the big message from you? There's what's the big message? How do people really crack this? What should their mindset? What would you suggest their mindset be if they're looking for long-term success?
So I kind of, and I love, hope people don't take it too serious when I tell them to suck it up, buttercup, and just follow the guides, but it's simple, right?
It's so simple.
It's, first of all, it's not brain surgery, right? Everything is confusing when it's new. Everything is hard when it's new. Everything is sets you on, kind of like a withdrawal. You kind of eyes get glazed over. There's just so much to take in.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath, relax, because there's nothing that you can do is wrong. But you may not get it perfect the first time. You may not get it perfect the 5th time. Who cares? Because every little step you take is an improvement in your health. And every time you do it, I said earlier, your 2nd shred will be better than your 1st. Your 3rd shred will be better than your 2nd. Your 8th shred will be better than your 6th. It's just a progression. It's a learning curve. Don't, take in what you can absorb. If you make a mistake, so what?
Yeah.
If you the only thing you can't do is call it butter. It's butter, not butter.
That's all you can't do. Yeah, man, you're so. I mean, the only true way to fail is to quit, right? I mean,
it really is.
It's silly to me that people go, oh, I messed up a day, and that derails, and it goes like 7 months. I'm like, it's a day. You know what I mean? Like, it's
exactly, and they get into overwhelm, right? They get all consumed, and it's like, so what? You forgot to incubate your shake. So what? You made the water too hot. The next one will be better. So what? Maybe you put some pepper in with it. Maybe you couldn't quite drink that, bone broth on the first day. Maybe you didn't like the smell of the cleanse and it made you nauseous. Move on. Go to the next day.
Yeah.
Baby steps. Like I said, I had to adapt, right? I couldn't. It killed me not to be able to do shakes for almost a month and a half, right?
Yeah.
But I got back to them as soon as I could. And I got back to eating. I was eating okay, but I knew I wasn't eating the way I should have been eating. So I got back to that too. But then I thought, I can't do a full cleanse. I can't do a 2-day cleanse yet. I probably won't be able to, hopefully sometime in February. But so how do I overcome that? 2 ounces in the morning on an empty stomach every day.
You adapt. You adapt. You adapt and overcome.
You adapt. You are not going to be perfect. Everything isn't going to go fantastic. Everything isn't. It doesn't have to. There's no failure at this. There's no screwing it up. As long as you do something every day.
Yeah.
And the other thing is get out there and move. You can't just, this is all good. You got to take this stuff in, but you got to learn to move your body. You got to walk. When you can walk, climb some stairs, lift some weights, work on some rubber
Just keep
bands.
going.
Just keep going. Do
Just
something.
Keep going.
Right? Skip rope, hop up and down the street. It doesn't matter as long as you're doing something. But the biggest thing
in front of the other.
Right here. The biggest thing is right here. What goes on between your ears. We all have the bad guy on the left shoulder, right? We all have that negative self-talk. So catch that. As soon as you hear it, eliminate it from your vocabulary. Bring yourself back to a place of being positive. Think of something positive. Well, I don't like that shred, but you know what? I don't like that cleanse, but you know what? I'm going to at least take a sip of it tomorrow. And then the next day I'm going to take 2 sips. And then the next day I'm going to do a half a cup of bone broth. And you'll get there. Change your mindset, and you'll change your life.
Yeah. Change your mindset, and you'll change your life. How do you not follow that from a man that survives and thrives for what you've been through? Hey, you want to hear some good news?
Absolutely.
Somebody just posted in the comments. I can't see because it says Facebook user, but I seriously thank you for this. It says April 30th is the Boston Stair Climb at Fenway.
Are you coming up then?
Guess what weekend I already got planned? The 28th through the 31st. Through the 2nd.
Bring your daughter up. Your daughter can do it.
Oh, she's doing it. Don't you worry about that.
Awesome.
Don't you worry about that. I might bring my niece too with me. I might
stoked.
make them both do it. We're doing it. We're doing it. 100%.
Hey,
no need to twist my arm.
Just throwing it out there to the shred world. Anybody else that wants to come to Boston for the weekend,
Dude, how cool would that be? How cool would that be? We'll have ERShred flood Fenway.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be so cool. Coleman, I can't thank you enough, dude. I really can't. I could talk to you about, I get so riled up. You got all these things in my brain, and I feel like sometimes I even mixed my words tonight because I got so many thoughts going on. Maybe I've been listening to too much. You know what I mean? There's that thing too. But I'm just so fired up to know. For me, people are like, how do you stay so motivated? How do you stay so dedicated? Why do I not want to feel awesome every day? That's how I look at it. Like if I know that I can do this and it has this result and this result makes me feel like shit and this result makes me feel awesome, I'm all about the awesome. I've beat myself enough for years for no reason. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
You know what's one word, Sean, Jesse, one word to sum this all up? One word that will describe what the ERShred will do to you.
What is it?
It'll give you what you got. It'll give you what I got. It's called passion.
Passion.
You want to have some passion in your life. You want to have a shred-tastic day every day. You want to go through life having shredgasms. You'll get passion. You just keep doing your shreds. And I thought of another cool one today. What do they call it? Kintra Sutra, right? Well, we're going to call it Shredra Sutra. You'll be having shredgasms all day long.
Dude, I love it. I love it so much. No, seriously, man, we can't thank you enough. You don't have to come. You don't have to come in the group and show up. You don't get anything from it, but you do. I know you do.
I do.
But I'm saying, I know you do.
These
I know.
Are all my kindred spirits.
This is why I can jive with you.
Mimi's unbelievable. You got Susan, you got Heather, you got Jesse, you got Crystal. Bob. You people are incredible. Who wouldn't want to spend as much time in this community as possible? Oh, and I'll say one more thing for the newbies.
Yeah.
Do the guides, watch the videos, and get on the calls. Oftentimes I have to watch the calls on replay because of my crazy schedule, but that's where you learn. That's where you get this stuff. Do it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's another important tip that I'm just going to let you roll with, and hopefully that people will pick it up, because if they do that with what has been put together for people for free,
priceless.
I mean, right? Like, come on, dude. Listen, man, this meant so much to me. For 64 episodes, Coleman, 64 in a row. I think I've only missed 3, and that's because I was up in the air at 30,000 feet, or I was driving up the coast, and I just physically couldn't be on a call. These
Right.
calls mean so much to me. Growing up and being the kid that struggled with mindset and made fun of, and having a place and now having a platform to be able to give somebody a chance to share their story, to celebrate themselves, to talk it out, and hopefully come to more clarification in their own mind when we're done, to providing knowledge about stuff that I've been fortunate enough to learn that's changed my life to give to other people. This call means so much to me. I had to look, I had to make a decision, and this call will be my last one that I host until the second week of May. And while I'm very sad about that, I know what my podcast on my morning dog walk will be every Wednesday morning now, versus a nutritional podcast. It will be this call. We have amazing people that are going to step up and host the call. We have amazing guests that are still lined up to continue sharing people's stories and celebrating them, which is what this community is all about. And it means so much to me that you are this guy on this last one before I got to take this hiatus. I'm going to get my national board certification for health and wellness coaching. So we're going to go play that, but I got to invest a few more 100 hours into my free time to make it happen.
It'll be worth it.
So we had to give up a couple.
I feel blessed and honored to be with you tonight, brother.
I can't thank you enough. I can't thank you enough for being here and sharing and just continuing to show up the way you do every day. So, and I cannot wait until April now. This is going to be epic.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
This is going to be epic. All right, guys, have an amazing night. Thank you guys so much for joining. Drop into the comments. Let us know one or two nuggets that you got from this. So hopefully if somebody missed it, they can read the comments and get it. Hopefully it served you guys. Tomorrow night, we have our Shred Your Testimonial call. Thursday, we have our Share the Shred call. We got 3 calls a week for everybody. We've got a YouTube channel. We got a podcast. We have a free community that Coleman's talking about. It's over 24,000 people. Come in there, please. It's freaking free. www.ERShredders.com. We just want to celebrate you. We think everybody deserves to have amazing health, and we appreciate you all. So have an amazing night. Talk to you soon. Thanks again, Coleman.
Have a shredtastic night, everybody.